Hello. Today I'm going to be showing you how to edit a website inside of the Outfront CRM. So what you're going to do is on your sidebar here, go to Sites, and under that, you're going to go to Websites. Here we have a bunch of different ones on this demo site, but we're just going to edit this this first template. So this is just website template 1. You might have a couple different templates. If we built your website, we'll rename it for you so that you would just find, one that is named after your company. And then you open that up, and this is your website. So everything contained within your website is built in here. So this one is a 4-page website. So you have a home page, an about page, a contact page, and a booking page. So all of those are maintained in here. For a higher view of things, if you're looking to add a new page, you can hit add new page, you name it, and then it'll create. So like, let's just say test. The path you don't need to worry about right now. And then you just hit create new page. And then now you have a brand new page. From there, you can either start a page from scratch or you can use an existing template. So if you hit use existing, so like if you have a templated page that you already like want to duplicate. So like, let's say let's just pick this one and like a multi-purpose page. It's going to show you a preview of what that page looks like. If that's the page you're looking for, you can go ahead and hit import, and then it'll build out that page with all of that information on it. So while that's doing its thing, I'm going to go over some basic features in this. So if you click on these 3 dots here, you'll be able to see, so you have page settings here. You can clone a page. So if you have multiple service pages and they're all laid out the same, I highly recommend using the clone feature and then updating the page based on the product specifications or service specifications. You can delete pages. Beware, it is a permanent delete. So I highly recommend being very careful about what pages you delete. But let's see. So settings, that's your name of your page right here. So obviously it's a home page. Your path. So what that means is for your domain URL, what does it show afterwards? So like everything has like a backslash. So if you went to like front ROI /services, this one's the home page. So you just named it home. So if you have a longer page name, I highly recommend shortening it to like 1 or 2 words. And using that as your pathway. And then just a quick overview here. If you click this, that's your preview link. You can see what the page looks like for outsiders. So that pulls up a quick little view of that. And then if you hit edit, that's going to if you click on the image or if you hit edit, it's going to open it up for editing. There is a little drop down where you can edit your page details or edit in a new tab. If you're fine editing in your tab, which most people are, just go ahead and click on that. And now you are in the backside of your website page. So obviously your logo is going to be here. You have all of your navigation bar. So we'll just go ahead and go through some of the basics and some of the features and how to build things. So first things first is you kind of have to understand a little bit about the website structure and how that works. So when you're looking at your website, every section, so it basically goes section, row, and then whatever it is, like section or row and column, or like section, row, and then whatever you have inside of it. So each section of the website has its own settings and can be cloned. So like this is your navigation bar. So this purple here, when you hover, it's going to say section header. So that is the section. This next one is a section. So section is your widest part of your page, and then you put things within each section of the website. So like within this, you have, so we'll just use the header for example. So you hover over the next element. So now you're going to have a 2-column row. So when you're looking at things, I'll pull this up because might make it a little bit easier for understanding references. So this plus sign is where you can find all of your elements to add into your website. So you're always going to start at this highest level sections. You're going to have full width, wide width, medium, small. I always recommend full or wide width for building out your sections. And then from there, you're just going to move through like in a linear order. So the next is you're going to be a row. Do you want a full width column if you're just doing a paragraph? An image? Do you want it split into 2 different columns? Do you want 3? So realistic, so you can do anywhere from 1 to 6. So if you're looking at this one, this is a 2-column section. So what that means here is you have some text, and this is all encapsulated. If you can see right here, this is when you hover and it's got the purple first column. So these elements that are right here are in that first column. And then over here is a second column, and you can add an element here, or you can leave it blank and it creates this blank space that doesn't get messed with. But if you wanted to, so let's say you wanted to add a photo into your second column, you click add element, and these elements are all the different things that you can add into, or like, let's say you wanted a booking calendar. You can go ahead and add a calendar. It's a drag and drop builder. You click on it, you hover, you drag. And then if you selected a calendar, it's going to go ahead and pull your booking calendar in here for people to book from through your header. You can drag this, you can change spacing. So if you drag this across, obviously you're compensating. You only have 100% width, and as you drag and drop, your header on the left-hand side is going to shrink in accordance with what you're doing. So you go ahead and you set however you want that to look. So let's say you wanted a booking calendar, everything looks good. Biggest tip, always hit save. It does auto save, but I always recommend hitting save. So that is the gist of how things work. Everything is a drag and drop builder. So, and everything's movable. So like if I'm hovering over this and I want to move this header and I don't like where it is, if you hover and you go to these 4 corners, drag and drop. Everything is super movable, super flexible. It's just going to take some getting used to. You can clone an element. So this is a copy paste. If you hover over it, it always tells you what the little feature is. There's settings. So open settings. It's going to pull up all your settings right here on the right-hand side. So your element name is your headline. Let's say you want a heavy fade. This is where you're going to change all of the settings that correspond with everything in that box. Font weights, you can change opacity, font size, you can make your fonts bigger, colors, all of that customization happens in each individual module. Padding, so that's going to be something that's probably the biggest thing that you're going to mess around with, is some padding and spacing. And so you want, so really it's infinite possibilities if you want to animate things. So it's like zooming in on when it first enters, rocking, different ways to call attention to your brand. And then there's some advanced settings too. If you need like the text transform. So like if you want all your letters in uppercase, you don't have to type in capitals. You can just text transform it. If you want sections visible on certain parts, do you want it visible on computers and mobile, or just one of them? You might have certain things that are built for a desktop experience and some things that are built for mobile. So that's where you'd just select and unselect, and depending on what you're doing is where it would show up. So that's kind of the basic gist. So everything, like I said, there is global select or sections you might have that are used on multiple pages and websites. So you can create like a global section, templates. So like if you have a template that's built, you can drag and drop templates into sections. So that dragged and dropped that into there. Obviously, that's probably not applicable for this, but you get the idea. And then pre-built sections. So let's say you don't want to do as much customizing, but you want to find something that looks nice. You're like, oh, cool, these are some facts. Like, I wouldn't mind updating that for our business. Drag, drop it in. Now you can edit all of this stuff to match your business. All of it's going to come with text ready to edit. And then again, going through, you have different buttons. You can make them rounded. You can make them, there's so many different things to play around with. Social media icons. You can do countdown timers, images. These are images that you like free use, a progress bar, depending on kind of what you're trying to do. So that's the gist of like the drag and drop builder. Here, you probably, depending on your experience with website builders, there's layers. So if you're not super familiar, don't worry about this part as much. The other parts you're going to want to look at or might need use of. So you can hit pages and see all of your pages. If you need to add coding to your website, like tracking code. So let's say you need to add Google Analytics code to the header of this page and people need to fill out a form. That's where you're going to enter this, you copy and paste it in here, hit save, and then that's your tracking code. If you are familiar with custom CSS, great. If not, you'll probably ignore that or hire us to help with that. Typography. So this is an easy way. You pick the fonts that you want your business to show with. They have a couple that you can pick from that are like recent fonts, and then you can select, these are all Google fonts to match your brand or closest to it. So let's say it's going to pull that information in for all your areas. If you go ahead and use your headline fonts, you can do content font, custom font, your font family, and change things from there. And then the other biggest probably things that you're going to use, pop-up settings. So every page has its own pop-up. You get one pop-up per page. So this pop-up settings, let's say you wanted to have a form that they fill out. Down here, you're going to do your pop-up settings. You hit settings. And then you so this one has a video section in it, but for this, you can add I've never had to do a video pop-up, so it's stumping me for just a hot second. Hold on, please. So your pop-up settings with show on pop-up element name, exit full page. Okay. Well, that's where you would edit your pop-up form. Most of the time, I haven't ever seen it with a video pop-up. So that I might need to figure out, oh, it looks like you can do a plus sign. Okay. Let's see. So we wanted to go to a form. Where are you? Forms. There we go. So drag and drop a form. Select a form. So we're just going to pick contact form test. There, that's what I'm used to seeing. Okay, so this part you can delete. So you're editing. So it's just like the regular builder, drag and drop elements. I built this one. So it's like if you need breakfast orders for people staying at an Airbnb, whatnot. So now that's going to be your new pop-up. Your button actions, use the action from your form builder. And so now if someone goes to your website, and it has the pop-up, when you go to open the page, they'll see that. So um, within that, you can change your pop-up settings. So do you want it to display on exit? Do you want to disable pop-up, close pop-up on clicking outside? Like so many different settings. Like you can delay it. So it's like upon opening the website, delay it like 5 seconds, whatever. And you can play around with those different settings. Another area is going to be your SEO metadata. So under here, this is all the stuff that's going to show up on Google. You always want to make sure that under content, your page has a title and a description. Those two things Google searches for, and that's how they populate website rankings, or part of how. You can add in some keywords. Are there keywords related to your business? Those are the two biggest areas I recommend adding in. And then if there's like meta tags and stuff like that, those are the biggest things though. Content, you always want to have content. You always want to have your keywords. And then from there, if you need to have cookies consent in your state, if you have visitors from like California and stuff like that, if you hit that, you can enable the banner read and understood. So basically they're consenting. So you can say, ask to opt in, don't ask, just tell users that you use cookies. However you want this to look, there's a ton of customizations. So you might need to use a cookie. So pay attention to your local laws about if you need those. And then lastly, kind of along here, if we're going along the top, you're displaying desktop mode. This is mobile mode, so you can see what it's going to look like on a phone. So you can make sure your spacing is correct, because it's going to change a little bit between mobile and desktop. So that's where there's some things that like, so like this image is really long. Let's say I wanted it to be a different width on mobile. When I'm clicking on the image, it has a size and it's got desktop, computer, or mobile. I can change the settings so that it makes it smaller for a better user experience on mobile. And then back on desktop, it's going to be, a normal size image, so that you're not screwing with your settings across platforms. It gives you a little bit more freedom there. And then you can do alt text, which is for SEO. So like, let's say mountain view with lake in forefront, just to keep it nice and simple. Basically, it's just a description of what's going on in the image. It helps with SEO. It's also used for people who have a visual disability to be able to, their screen will read to them what the images are, what the alt text is for the images. Last couple of things here. So I have a global selection that I was just hit okay. You're changing a global section. If you mess up, if you're making edits and you're like, crap, I did a bunch of things I don't want to do, this little versions button lets you go back to previous saves. So like right now we're here, but like, let's say we need to go back to this version that doesn't have any of the crazy stuff that I did. You can go back to a previous version, and then what you would do is you would go ahead and hit restore version, and it's going to go back to that and help fix any boo-boos that you made. And then here you can like hide or show your settings. So depending on how you're trying to view your screen. So that's kind of the overall gist of using the website builder side of things. The only other thing that you might be doing for your website is if you go back and you're in websites here. So this is kind of like your home base again for your website. So stats, if you want to see your page views, opt-in rates, sales, that sort of thing. All of your stats are going to show up here, and it's by like, so we opened up a preview of it, so it counts as a unique visitor. So you can see some statistics here, which is really awesome. If you are doing sales and you have the transaction data, it's right there. There's security stuff. Events, if you're doing tracking for metadata like pixel IDs, and then settings. So your domain's going to be connected here. Your favicon, if you need body tracking code, so it's like a website. Website-wide tracking codes can go here. If you have a chat widget, um, so a bunch of different things. And then, yeah, that is kind of the gist of it. All the stuff that connects to your website that might be built outside of it. So you have like forms. Every website probably has a form. Those are going to be built under your forms section. And we have another one that goes over how forms are built. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, I highly recommend reaching out and we can help you from there. Thanks.